My name is Andrew Clinic, and I'm a Group Program Manager on the Windows Developer Platform here in Redmond. And today, what I'd like to do is talk to you about something which I'm calling the app renaissance, in terms of how are we seeing apps and the delivery of applications changing on Windows to really address the new demands that we're all seeing with our new way of working. You know, the last 18 months has had a dramatic impact on all of us, both personal lives, but also with work. And, you know, the blurring of the lines between work and personal life as we increasingly work at home. And, you know, as a result of that, we've really seen PC usage spike in terms of it's become so important to enable us to get our job done. And, you know, working from home has caused us many to rethink how we're allocating PCs to users. Certainly prior to the pandemic, a laptop per individual wasn't a strong impetus for many companies. But we're seeing that a lot now, also in education as well. But more so, we're seeing multi-screens and people actually realizing they want to connect a screen to that laptop so they can be more productive and get a great experience in their PC. Now, of course, as we're working at home, connectivity and the different levels of connectivity with our users has never been more important and so prevalent. And, you know, a lot of that is really the resurgence of video and screen sharing, video calling and screen sharing, and the impact that's had on the way that we actually work together. So what does this mean? Well, you know, what we've seen is app usage is actually increased compared to web. It's not to say that web is important, web is cool. But really, we're seeing this because it enables users to really focus on getting things done. You know, for a lot of us, that's video calls. Seems like we're doing that all day, every day. But it's really the applications around that that we're utilizing to take advantage of that. It might be that, you know, you have an older application you need to get deployed to those new machines out in people's home office. But also things like Office, and you know, we're seeing productivity tools really increase. If you look at Zoom, you look at Teams, really starting to see those products really come to the fore and changing the way that we work and asking more and more of people at home to be fully productive and utilize those applications that perhaps they only had on their work machine and getting that to work well in their home. And you know, and the reality is, prior to the pandemic, is apps were used more than the web anyway. About 60% of PC usage was on apps, but we're seeing that increased demand to utilize those applications in areas where they haven't done in the past. And you know, when we think about that and think about it from app deployment, how do we get those applications to users? From an enterprise perspective, we want to be able to deliver it to all users, both from the client, obviously on a PC, but also to the cloud, be that AVD or the new Windows 365. But that's about getting the app. But that's just the start. Making it supportable, making the app predictable, safe, and reliable, reducing support costs is so important, especially as everybody's remote now. More and more that we're seeing that as a long-term thing, not just during the pandemic situation we're in right now. So how can I reduce my support costs when everybody's working remote? And then really thinking about optimization. And by this we mean not just optimized on disk, that makes a big difference if you're really being cost conscious for your laptops, but also optimizing for network throughput, which was always important on a corporate intranet. But as more and more of this is actually over consumer IP and consumer broadband, ensuring that you can really maximize the effectiveness of that network bandwidth, super important. Why are we doing this? Because we want users to be able to keep the apps wherever they go, be that, you know, physically taking it with them on their laptop, putting it in their home office, but also dealing with upgrades. How do I go from one machine to another? Or maybe, how do I move from client to a cloud and vice versa? So ensuring that my experiences move with me is something which Microsoft's really investing deeply in. PC upgrade is something we've seen a lot of in the last year. Obviously, from an enterprise perspective, that's taking traditionally what might have been a desktop PC, giving people laptops, keeping them up to date. How can we ensure that those machines you just log in and all my apps are there for me locally, but also obviously the AVD and Windows 365. But when we think about it we also think about that from a consumer perspective. We also realize that a lot of these machines are actually being utilized by customers buying their own machines. So it's not just an enterprise scenario for us. Here it's to ensure that all Windows users get that. But specifically for enterprises, we care about your users being instantly productive, because time is money. We want your users to be able to do their job, not worry about if their machine is working, but really ensuring that the user data is under control so that you get to control where that data goes. And then once I've got those apps how do I ensure that I keep that up to date? We want users to be on the latest version always. And, from a user perspective, they don't want that to be disruptive. They're just like, I'm always using the latest version. I don't need to worry about that. And if there is an update, it's seamless to me. And from an IT perspective, we want to ensure you can do that and really enable your users to stay up to date, to make sure they have the latest security, that they comply with all the policies that you need to. So we want to do this in a seamless manner. We want it to integrate with your existing IT workflows. And we really want to minimize the amount of system impact so that you can keep them up to date and really reduce the amount of network bandwidth you're using, the amount of disk space you're using, so you can get users up to date as quickly as you can without costing a fortune. So today, in the operating system, it's kind of difficult to do. Many of you know this already. Apps and user profile and the operating system are all kind of mashed together. It's really a problem when you're trying to move a user to a new PC. We all kind of become archaeologists almost, actually digging around trying to find that data so you can move it from one machine to the next. How many of you have actually got batch files that try and do that as opposed to it just being seamless? Or even updating an application if it goes from one version to the next. And then finally updating the operating system. One of the reasons why the operating system takes so long to do that update is that we have to go and dig around and find that app data and move it and ensure that it becomes seamless. Well, there's a better way for us to do this. And it starts really with user profiles. Now, many of you use this already today. We know that the data is supposed to be there. And in many cases, the documents and media, they're already there. And you're probably using something like OneDrive that really makes that a lot simpler to go do. But we know that application data that you never really see, be it settings or just data that's there that the application needs to be able to go do, it could be anywhere. Applications tend to spew this all over the place. And which results in apps becoming way too tightly coupled to the OS. This makes a real problem for being able to move users. So it's super painful. Almost no apps just move. You have to do that work. You have to go and do that. Now, obviously, consumers don't know where to go get those apps from. You do, but how can you ensure that they get back to where they left off? And the key thing we believe on this is state separation via MSAX. And MSX has a container mechanism that enables you to separate the application from the OS. We actually have a list of applications which systems like SCCM, Intune, MEM all provide that and enable you to determine what's there. But that container ensures that those applications' data actually gets stored in the place it should do. And in many cases, without having to change the application. So we actually do the virtualization for you so that when you move the operating system, it's easy to do. Now, We get a lot of feedback as like, well, that's really difficult to do. MSAX is tough to go do. And we've really been investing in the MSAX platform, but also with tool vendors to make that super simple, and to really industrialize the ability for you to move your applications to MSAX very, very quickly. So once you move to MSAX, those apps can be seamlessly updated. We have a mechanism such that we will download, and you get to control this. You will download a newer version, and as soon as a user is not using the application, we'll quickly swap it over. Or you can even say, look, I want to ensure the user is always running the latest version. And the key thing here is that we do that. There's no intervention required. There's no UAC prompts. And more importantly, frankly, there's no app updaters clogging up the system. There's so many app updaters out there that are just running, hoping to just keep their application up to date and just taking resources away from the applications and experiences to make your users productive. We believe to enable this app renaissance, we have to invest in ensuring that you can deliver those updates to your users from the client, Windows 10, Windows 11, all the way through to the cloud, be that Azure Virtual Desktop or the new Windows 365. And in order to do that, MSX is the key technology that Microsoft is investing in, because it enables you to provide a supportable, predictable, safe, and reliable solution for deploying those applications and keeping all the great capabilities of those applications and ensuring that it's optimized to run from the client through to the cloud so that you can maximize your returns. And our investment with third parties is really helping to ensure that it really makes it simple for you to move to MSAX very quickly so you can maximize those benefits from all your applications.